a hodgepodge. So next is standard equation of a circle. This would have been something from geometry that you would have briefly touched on when you got to your circle unit and geometry. So a circle has a center, and in the formula for this, our center is our h and our k. So hk is our center, and then our radius is r. So r squared. If your circle is centered at the origin, it is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And at that point, you see a similarity with what? What's the other formula? Where's the P? Pythagorean. Okay. We're going to be using x plus y squared a lot more in the spring when we get to our trigonometry stuff as well. All right, so we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And again, it's a matter of having values and plugging them in, but also being able to interpret what's being given to us, okay? So being able to say, oh, my center is ... My radius is ... okay? So that's where this comes from as far as a circle. So up first, it says we have x squared plus y squared equals 9. And it asks us to identify the center and radius of the circle of the given equation and then graph it, okay? So if we're going to identify our center, we already talked about that. If it's just x squared plus y squared, what does that mean your h and k are? If it's just x squared plus y squared, that means your h and k are at the origin. Because that means you're adding, subtracting 0, right? And is there any reason for me to write x minus 0 squared or y minus 0 squared? No. Okay. So when there is nothing there, it clearly means that you are at the origin. Okay. Next is to find your radius. Your radius is going to be the square root of your constant. Okay. Your radius is going to be the what? Square root of your constant. All right. That's because the constant is r squared. So we have 9. So to find our radius, we're going to take the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is 3. Okay, so what that means is that when I draw a circle, the circle is going to be centered at 0, 0. And from 0, 0, I'm going to go 3 units to the left, 3 units to the right, 3 units up, 3 units down, make my best circle, right? Don't worry, you don't have to see me draw a circle. I'll just put it in. Okay. So on your homework assignment, you're going to be using the circle tool. Okay. On the circle tool, you're going to have to click circle. First, put your center, and then you only have to go left or right 1 time to make your radius out. Okay. You don't have to do it all 4 times. You just got to go once either to the left or once to the right, and then the circle will expand to that size. Make sense? All right. Because you have to be able to identify. All right. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to identify my center and my radius. All right. What's my center? Good job. Okay. It's -2 because the formula is normally what? Negative. So what did 2 have to become in order to change it to a positive? A negative. Right? This is an example of remembering your variables are liars, right? So even though I think it's a negative, it's actually a positive. All right, and then what is my radius? 2, because it's the square root of 4, which equals 2. So this time my center is going to be at 1, -2, and I'm going to go 2 units to the left, 2 units to the right from there to create my circle. If it's still open. All right. Now, instead of us being given the equation, we're going to have to create the equation. So we're going to go backwards. All right. So here it says, find the equation of the circle that satisfies the coordinates and graph the circle. So I need to make a circle that has a radius of 4 and a center at -3, 5. Okay. So from what I have, I should be able to identify my h and my k and what my constant is going to be. Okay. So what is my h? The h is -3. Your h is the x of your center. Okay. What is my k? 5, because it's the y of my center. And then what is my constant? Well, your constant is your r squared. So what is my r? So it's going to be 4 squared, which equals 16. Does that make sense? So when I write the equation, my equation is going to look like this. X plus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 16. Yeah? Questions about going backwards? Do you feel good about going backwards? So if it's already a negative. Because you're plugging in, because it's minus a negative, and a negative and negative makes a positive. All right. Next up is finding the equation. We have a center at 6, -3, and we have a point of 1, 2. Oh no, I don't know my radius. What do I do? Okay, if only there was a formula to help me find the distance between the two. Oh, is there a formula, guys? Yes, there is. Anyone want to take a stab at what that formula is called? Distance formula. Oh my gosh. So D equals the square root of x2 minus y. That's not an x. It's not an x, guys. You see nothing. Minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we're going to find the distance here. So we get D equals, and it does not matter what is your x2 and your y2, but we end up with 6 minus 1 squared plus -3 minus 2 squared. Keep going. 6 minus 1 squared is 25. And -3 minus 2 squared is another 25, right? And 25 plus 25 is 50. So our distance equals the square root of 50, which means our radius is the square root of 50. Does that make sense? All right. Now I have my radius. Can I write my equation? So my equation here would be x minus, my h and my k. So we have that bottom of the screen does not want me to write, and I don't know why. X minus 6 squared plus y, and this is a negative, and a negative times a negative makes a positive. And then to find your constant, you have to square your radius, right? What happens when you square a square root? When you square a square root, it sets they cancel each other out, right? They are inverse operations of each other. So therefore, our constant is just 50. So this is our equation. And then here's a little graph. All right. Circles. How do you feel about circles as a function? They're okay? Everything's a formula, right? Yes. So as long as you remember the formula, then you're golden. Okay. You should write it down. Okay. All right.